Hey there and welcome. This is Annette with fiberartsy.com. I'm going to show you a tie-dyeing technique called the Geode design. And basically, when all is said and done, you should have some areas that look like a cut open geode. It's pretty cool. So what I have here is a thrifted, mostly cotton shirt. There's some modal in there that I have soaked in soda ash for 30 minutes, and then I squeezed it dry with an old bath towel. So it's just barely damp. You can also spin it out in your washing machine if you want. And I'm going to turn it inside out. And also you're going to need the ties you need have to be, it has to be some kind of a waxed thread. This is artificial sinew, and you can order it, I believe, on Amazon. And what it is, it's a thread that's got a coating of wax on it. And what this does is it sticks to itself, which keeps the liquid, the dye, from getting in underneath. And also the wax coating obviously keeps the dye from getting underneath. And you're able to tie this very tightly as opposed to rubber bands, which you can't. And for this project, we are also going to use fiber reactive dyes, also called MX dyes. And I have here Jacquard's Procyon MX Forest Green. I have Brown Rose. And then I have Dharma Trading's Sage Green, Lemon Yellow, and I have something called Lime Squeeze. So, okay, let's get started. You want to make sure, made this mistake already. You want to make sure that the front of the shirt is towards you, because we're not going to pick up both layers. We're only going to pick up the top layer. And when I did this before, I accidentally had the back of the shirt facing me, and so the best design is on the back of the shirt. Still a nice shirt, but anyway. And I'm gonna cut off these tags. Let me cut off this one. Okay. So now what you need to do is decide where you want your geodes. And you'll know what I mean when it's finished. You'll see. I think I want one right around in this area, and maybe one up there, and maybe another smaller one here. So let's just see. So what you want to do is pinch an area where you want the geode, but only the top layer. And from my understanding, the messier you fold this, the better. Okay, so there we go. And also, I believe that you start tying at the bottom, the base of your geode first. So if we want the center of the geode to be at this end of the shirt, then this would be the bottom. So what you want to do, and this takes a little bit of practice, getting better, wrap this around this artificial sinew. And you don't have to tie it. You don't have to tie a knot because it sticks to itself. But you do want to overlap it like that, okay? The first one doesn't have to be completely tight yet. So I wrap it 2-3 times. And then take this and pull it tight. And you can almost feel it popping into place, which is kind of cool. So another trick to make your geode look as natural as possible is you want to vary the width of your ties. So you don't want them all the same. You want some wider, some narrower. So just kind of smoosh it and scrunch it a little, and I've also heard that fluffing it out a little bit helps it look more natural. And now here's a trick too. This diagonal, because you're going to go across to tie your next line, you don't want very tight. Otherwise, you'll get a white line underneath. So you want to just wrap a couple of them on top of each other, somewhat loosely. 2, 3, and then pull it tight. See that? Pulled it tight. So then the next one, let's smush it a little bit. We'll do it with that one a little bit. Maybe we'll do that one a little further. And I like to put that diagonal over my thumb, just so I don't accidentally pull it too tight. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. So we'll mush it again. We'll do this one a little narrower. Wrap it around. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I know there is a tool that you could use for the sinew that almost looks like a spindle, if you're familiar with a spinning wheel. But I have found that if I just hold on to the roll and pull up against it like that, that works actually very well. Okay, so you don't want a bullseye. You don't want a perfect circle at the end. That would not look natural. So just crunch it up, mush it up, wrinkle it, whatever you have to do. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there we go. Okay, cool. And you also don't have to tie it at the end. You can just cut it. So you need scissors. Okay. In case I didn't mention it before, everywhere you have this tight line, there should be a white line. I mean, everywhere you have the sinew, there should be a white line underneath after you dye it. At least that's the hope. All right, so let's see where we are. There's the back of the shirt. Let's put another one. Let's put another one over here. And you don't have to actually have the whole center either. You could leave the center out, which I may do with this one. Which I've not tried, so I'm not entirely sure how that works, but let's give it a go. All right, so same procedure as before. 1, 2. On that first one, you might want more than 2 or 3 just to make sure you got it locked in. Okay. Then I also see there's some pleats on the back. I'm not entirely sure how those will end up looking, but locked in before I had all the loops. Yeah, well, let's just loop it a couple more times. I think that'll be all right. There we go. Okay, so this one's good, I think. Do you want to do another one? Let's just do one more. Let's see. Ah, hear that pop? Pop right into place. Cool. All right, and the rest of this, let me see, let me find the front. Maybe we'll do a small, just a couple of loops, not a whole geode. I'm not really sure how that's going to turn out, but we'll find out. All right, and then let's see. I think because I don't want all this blank space, I'm just gonna tie a few random lines. Actually, you know what? Let's just do another one. We've got enough room to do another whole geode. Let's just do one. Well, let's see where we are. Yeah, they kind of are. That's okay. I'm just going to tie a few through the center. I think that's all right. Okay. Okay, so for this particular geode, I'm going to dye it in this salad spinner. It's got, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little raised area, so it will be a little bit in the muck as the dye runs down, as the ice melts. but the whole thing won't be. Another alternative would be to just set it up on a rack over a sink or a dish, and then you don't have it in the muck at all. All right, so you also want to go ahead and open all of your dye containers, and you're going to want a spoon for each color. Okay, now we're going to apply the dyes. So I'm going to start with my darkest forest green. And I don't want this to be too dark, so I'm not going to apply a whole lot of this, just a little here and there. Nice thing about this colander is it turns. A little bit on each geode area. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, let's go with it. And let's go with a little lemon yellow. I'm never exactly sure how much dye powder you need. I've used some. I think it also varies by color. I've used where I thought it was way too much and then it was kind of light, and vice versa. Okay, then let's do lime squeeze. This is a fun one. This is sort of like an electric lime color. More of a neon variety. Yeah, see, it's already coming through. The brown rose, just for a little contrast. See what that adds. I don't think I want a whole lot of that. I think I want that to be more of an accent. Go. And let's finish it off with sage green. The green's happening. Sage is a little more muted, a little more gray tones. Got a lot of bright colors in here. I thought it might help to have something a little bit more muted. And it looks like, since it looks like it has a lot of purple in there, it may get some splits too. All right. All right. Now, I don't know if this helps or not, but I know a lot of tie-dyers will sprinkle another layer of soda ash onto all the dyes. I have not compared doing that versus not doing that, but I figure it can't hurt, so I'm going to do that. And by soda ash, I mean washing soda, which you can buy very cheaply at your local big box store in the laundry department. It's the same thing. I think that's good. Okay. Final step is to add the ice. I'm just going to put it on a little carefully at first. I don't want to disturb the powders too much. I would like them to stay on top of my piece as long as possible. I could also have enclosed the shirt in here with like a ring of cardboard or something like that, which, you know, would give the ice a little less room, but I think it'll be fine. And for processing this, and this is really only the research, my research in my groups. If I understand it correctly, you want to leave it for at least 24 hours after the ice has melted. And it's also a little bit temperature dependent. So if you're in a cooler climate at the moment, it's going to take longer. Here it's going up to, I think, about 85 today, although we're not outside. The house is probably, I don't know, a good 72 or so. So I probably will leave it more like 18 to 20 hours after the ice has melted. All depends on how patient I am, because usually I like to unwrap them as quickly as possible. All right, now let's fill it up with ice. It's tilted a little bit. Let's get it back more even. All right, there we go. All right, so here's the shirt after processing for probably about 30 hours, I think. It was in there about 30 hours after the ice had melted. So now what we have to do is rinse out all the excess dye, and most importantly, any soda ash that's left on there, because soda ash is could still react with some dye, and we don't really want that, right? So, all right, it's gonna take a little while to rinse all this out. All right, next you want to just unwrap all the sinew, and then continue rinsing. All right, I got all of the sinew off. Now, keep rinsing all the excess dye. See some nice white lines there. Alright, just keep rinsing until the water's pretty clear. After that, you want to wash it in hot water at least a couple of times, just to make sure that all excess dye is out of there. And it'll be ready to wear. All right, there she is. I can see where, like, these lines are not as crisp as I would like, but overall I'm really pretty happy with it. Let's look at the back. Yeah, got some nice color splits here too. So yeah, overall it's pretty cool. And whoops, got loose dye, but that won't stick because there's no more soda ash. So a couple of hot water washes in the washing machine and an iron, then iron, and ready to go.